Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we've represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Twin Cities attorneys, a partner men can count on. CordellCordell.com.
Paid for by Cordell &
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Exciting news! The Being Curious Show is undergoing a transformative shift, transitioning to a podcast-only format starting February 2024. Join us on all major podcast platforms at the Edge Network for access to enlightening and curious conversations. Don't miss a single episode as we delve into thought-provoking discussions. Embrace the transformative and stay tuned for an immersive auditory experience that sparks curiosity. Subscribe on your preferred podcast platform now. Be a part of the Being Curious Show, here, there, and everywhere.
Moe's Tax Service in St. Paul is seeking experienced tax preparers and people who'd like to learn to be on their support team. Full and part-time positions are available throughout the tax season. Moe's is open Monday through Saturday and evenings. To find out more, call 612-721-2026 or send an email to info@moestax.com. That's info@mohstax.com. In business since 1971, Moe's Tax Service. Visit moestax.com.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain tonight with a low around 46. Thursday, more rain with a high near 55. And Friday, cloudy with a high around 36. Mark your calendars. Viral comedic sensation Randy Rainbow is gracing the State Theater stage on February 23rd. Known for viral political spoofs and musical parodies, Randy is a 4-time Emmy and Grammy-nominated entertainer. Secure your seats now at randyrainbow.com for an unforgettable night of laughter and satire.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
They are, Daga. You are right. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon.
Right on. Hey, why don't we have Heather Keeler interviewing her son, who's a high school senior who just committed playing football at Northern State University. And let's take a listen to State Representative Heather Keeler and her son.
Thanks, Robert and Haley. I'm sitting here today in my favorite role, which is being a mom. I know that you guys have talked to me a lot about the work that I do But honestly, I take the most pride in raising my kids. As many of you know, I've talked about it a lot. I have a senior, and being a senior mom is emotional. And today is an outstanding day for me and my son, DJ. Tell him what today is, DJ.
Today was my signing day, which is the next step in my journey. A big, very big, important step, making it official that I'm gonna go to college to play football at Northern State University.
Gonna play football. So you've been like a tri-sport athlete. And I kind of laugh because like growing up, we knew that you were going to be doing something athletic because your first word was ball.
Yeah.
Right. But talk to me a little bit and tell us a little bit about like what football has really meant to you from like your very early ages to your senior year.
Yeah. Well, I've always loved football. I've always loved every sport. I've been very competitive my whole life. So I just found love for the game just through my friends and just different experience that I've had in the past. And luckily for me, I turned out to be good enough to play at a college level. So
yeah, and you had how many offers did you end up getting the
I
whole
ended
entire
up
season?
with 7 offers, which is a blessing because some people don't even get one offer, and the fact that I had a choice to pick between 7 schools is a blessing.
It really is. And we talk a little bit about, I think the statistic is like 7% of high school athletes get the opportunity to play at college. And so less than that. Yeah. So, I mean, it is really a true blessing. And I've been your mom for your whole life, and I've watched you work really, really hard at it. You have a chart in your room that you set goals, you know, so like just in the professional world, we talk a lot about setting goals and really working towards those. What were some of the goals that you set for yourself in your high school career?
Yeah, so pretty much in 7th grade, I had my mom give me a whiteboard, and I was just like, today I'm gonna just make my future plan, and I'm gonna go after it. Because one thing about me, I'm organized, and I like to be organized and setting my goals. So some things I had on my board were start varsity football, which I ended up doing.
2 years.
2 years. Start varsity basketball, which I ended up doing 2 years. And then I had 4 things on my chart. One of them is be obsessed, which I feel like if you're not obsessed with what you do, you're not going to be the best at it. And another thing was small step forward every day, because you can't just get to the places you want to be just off of one day. It's small steps forward every day.
I like that. I like that because sometimes it steps forward and steps back.
Yeah.
You know, it's making sure you keep going. Okay, what else did you have?
And it's not big steps forward, it's small steps, because you can't just take big leaps.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that I had was do it for them. Then I have a bunch of pictures of my younger self and my family on there. So every day I wake up, I look at my board to do it for them. And then my last thing was never be satisfied. So if you really want to reach your goals, then you can never be satisfied. So I just always have to remind myself that.
I think that's good because those are all things that will work in other parts of your life. Like it played out really well in sports. But I mean, if you think about moving forward, what are you going to college for?
I'm going for business and sports marketing.
Yes, sports marketing. I love that. I did an emphasis in sports as well. And I think it's important to go into a career that like you have deep passions about, and obviously like you have deep passions about athletics. So this is Native Roots Radio. And so let's talk a little bit about, you know, being an Indigenous athlete and what are some things you did. You know, I know we smudged before football games, but talk a little bit about, you know, how being Native in this world and in athletics have kind of played out for you.
Yeah, well, being Native is obviously, it's not something around this area that I have a lot of friends, but my junior season, I had one friend that was Native. So before every game, me, him, and my mom, Heather, would always go smudge before a game. And I feel like that helped like cleanse our minds and get us prepared for just whatever comes next. And then also I feel like it's very being Native is very What would you say, like a blessing, like spiritually? Like it helps me get connected to the spiritual like part, the other half of the game. Because it's not always about how you play, it's about your mental part of the game. So smudging before the game help me get my mental part of the game ready.
That's a good answer. I smudge every day before I go into session, kind of for the same reasons. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing to go out and do the work. It's another thing to stay like holistically grounded in some of those really hard spaces. So you're going to Northern. They're the Wolves. You're super excited. What's your position?
I'm a wide receiver.
I think you're the best, just because I'm your mom. I get to say that. So if there was some advice you could give to your younger self, think about that DJ that was like 5th grade, 8th grade, and it was like, just sometimes those days are kind of tough. Like, what's some advice you would give to the younger version of yourself?
Some advice I would give was never give up, because I was pretty good in like 5th, 6th grade, but then middle school I kind of started struggling a little bit. I had an injury in 8th grade, which I missed a couple games and I didn't really get any playing time. And that's when I pretty much was like, okay, I just want to play basketball. Basketball was my main sport. And then something just that summer, just talking to Coach Feeney, I was like, yeah, like football, this is meant for me. Like, I think I can go places in football. So if I would have gave up, if I would have quit that 8th grade summer, then I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing. So just never give up, work hard, and be yourself.
That's so true. Thanks, DJ. Publicly, I talk a lot about my work, but I do really take a lot of pride in you. And I'm so, so, so proud of you. I know there's a lot of community members just in our own community and in our region that have watched you too. Real quick, before we wrap up and send it back over to Robert and Haley, you had the best game-winning shot this year in basketball.
Yeah.
What are some of the real high-level fun points of your senior year in athletics?
That shot, definitely. And I feel like this basketball team I'm on can go all the way. So we haven't even hit the highest points yet.
Yeah. So you got that season left, heading off to college, senior year. I just want to remind everybody, Cobell Scholarship is open. There's a lot of Native American scholarships out there. I'll work with Native Roots Radio, Robert, Haley. We can get some stuff online so that individuals heading off to college can be prepared and have some financial opportunities as well. Bye. Thanks, Robert and Haley.
Hey, thank you, State Representative Heather Keeler and her son. Up next, Arvina Martin of Emerge Wisconsin. And also, today is a special day, too, before we swing it over to the commercials, huh, Haley?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, not only is it college signing day for seniors playing football, but it's National Girls and Women's Day in Sports.
All right. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back with Arvina Martin.
Stay with us.
Oh, wow. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Life can be hectic. Sometimes the pressure can feel like too much, and the emotions can be overwhelming. Hennepin County's COPE Mobile Crisis Response is here to listen and help you find a way through whatever is going on in your life. Call 612-596-1223 for no-cost crisis support anytime, anywhere in Hennepin County. That number is 612-596-1223. 1223.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, before we get to our friend Arvina, there's a couple things we want to just take care of real quick. Haley, we got that big happenings where meet and greet, and we get to hang out with people like Matt McNeil and our friend with the 10 o'clock scary show. And why don't you give a quick shout out to our listeners out there?
Absolutely. Well, February, like we talked about yesterday, is Listener Appreciation Month here on AM 950, which is our home station. And we just want to say a big thank you and Pinagigi Miigwech Wopila to everyone, all of our listeners out there for tuning into the show. Whether it's this year or all 7 years is really amazing. And you can win prizes all month by liking posts on Facebook, signing up for AM 950's e-newsletter, and calling into our local shows. Prizes include really great gift cards to restaurants, listener appreciation events, like the one that'll be happening on the 13th, I believe, next Tuesday. But yeah, we just want to say a big thank you to everyone out there.
Right on. Hey, without any further ado, just a second here. Had to clear my voice there. Now I sound normal. Without any further ado, you didn't know I could speak French, did you there, Haley?
I didn't. No.
Hey, we have our friend Arvina Martin, president of Merge, Wisconsin, and always great to see you, and always love our conversations. And we have a whole chunk show now.
Yay for Ho Chunk Wednesdays. Thanks for having me.
Exactly.
Good to see you, Arvina.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so before we get to the heavy stuff, Arvina, I'm a Swiftie, so I just wanted to throw that out there. And what's your feelings here? We got a big football game, and she just won a couple of Grammys, and I don't know. I'm a big fan.
I respect what Taylor Swift puts out, and that she's a great artist. She's just not. That's not my jam. There's some of her songs that I like, but I appreciate that all that she's accomplished, and she's clearly talented, and and lots of my friends like her. Just doesn't scratch that musical itch for me, but I appreciate her, and also good for her for supporting her partner, and forget all the people out there who get mad that she's on TV for 25 seconds. Like, she can't help it.
Right. Well, I knew you'd have something good to say about her. I don't really listen to her music, but I like her politics, and I like how she can, with a magic wand, get 65,000 people to register to vote in a good way.
I hope that she can use that magic wand to get Kansas City to change their name.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and then there's 49ers is not a native friendly name either, if we want to get
no, not really. I actually don't know if I'm even going to watch the Super Bowl this year. I was really hyped for the Lions, some good old fashioned NFC North pride, some black and blue division, and boy, it was disappointing when they didn't make it, but what a run they had.
Well, and your Packers too, I got to give you a lot of credit. I think in the beginning of the year when they first played the Minnesota Vikings, I thought they would win 3 games, and they just got better and better and better. And they were the youngest team, I think, ever to be average age to be in the playoffs.
I believe their average age was 25.3 or something like that. Like, those are babies.
That's Haley's age.
Exactly.
Shoot, yeah. Well, they had a good season and ended up,
Yeah.
getting a taste with the young ones, getting a taste of playoffs. That's all it takes
Well,
to get
I'm hoping that
going.
that where things are right now, we can restore the NFC North to proper glory with the Packers and the Lions, and then maybe the Vikings too coming on up. Can get out of their own way.
I
Aw.
was waiting to see who you were adding to that.
Oh.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to take back that Vikings jersey I bought for you. So next time I see you, I'll give it
Oh
to
my
Haley
gosh.
instead. Well, let's get to business here. Some national stuff here. The border. Senate Republicans blocking a bipartisan border bill that even the Border Patrol put a stamp on it, saying this is great. This is exactly what we want.
From what I'm to understand, it was a very conservative bill, but did fix the issues, or at least was a step forward in fixing some of the issues at the border. And I don't claim to know everything there is about what's happening at the border, but I do know that there does need to be something done. And we all know who put the kibosh on this piece of legislation. He's orange and he has cotton candy hair and he's running for president. It's hard. I mean, and this is the kind of thing that makes people be skeptical of politics, is that, clearly he's trying to run on this being the most important issue, but then is actually stopping progress because he wants to keep it an issue. I mean, I think he said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he say that there are like 300,000 people that have died because of, and we, I don't, I'm taking his stats with a boulder of salt. And but then to say, okay, but we're just going to let it go for the next year until I'm president again, and then I'll fix it.
Right.
So, it's I mean, that's the reason why people get so skeptical about politics and politicians.
Yeah.
They see people playing games like this, and the whole Republican legislative caucus in the federal government is going with it.
Right. Well, and the bill is set up by a really conservative Republican and, of course, a Democrat, and he's miffed. And now all of a sudden, he's a bad guy because he's doing his job and doing what he said he was going to run on, and that's securing the border or working on the border. And so, I believe, and this is just my opinion, is that not only is chaos. If you've ever read the book. Art of War, chaos is part of the strategy. So part of me thinks, these guys are really not very smart, and the other part of me is going, they know what they're doing. So there's with this chaos, and they're not hiding it. What do you think, Arvina?
I mean, I think it's clear that they're not hiding it. Everybody seems to be pretty blatant about it, and seems to be proud. Oh, Trump said we can't support this, so we're not supporting it. I think it kind of backfires in the sense that people are seeing how you really are and seeing that you're willing to give up things that you believe in because Trump says so, and you have to kiss his ring. It makes me really angry to see. And I hope that people don't fall for it, and I like to believe that everybody can see through it, but there's a lot of people that don't and take it at face value. And we know that nothing that Trump does, or the congressional Republicans, it's not at face value. There's always another shoe to drop.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and we're talking to you directly from Madison, right?
Yep, I'm in Madison.
Mad City, as they used to call it when I lived there.
Yeah. I'm actually missing my son Ho Chunk Wei is doing his signing today, and he's a football player. I believe he's a linebacker at Baraboo High School, and he's going to be coming your way. So make sure you get to some Hamline University football games next fall and cheer on John Bodine II.
Right on. And I'm right by Hamlin University, so I could ride my bicycle there, no problem. So keep us reminded, and Haley and I will do a remote from there.
Ooh, yeah, and maybe I can join you too, and meet Haley in person.
I know. We haven't met yet, which is just crazy. We're probably related, so
Exactly.
Probably.
Well, we want to keep you another segment here, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been staying on top of this, but we had former South Dakota Representative Ruth Buffalo on a couple days ago, and we talked a little bit about what's happening with Governor Noem in North Dakota, and I want to hear what you have to say about that, because I don't know, is she going to be Trump's vice president? In the way she's acting and talking, she sounds like a bad example of Trump.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not.
Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin and Haley Cherry, and this is Native Roots Radio, and this is a Ho Chunk show today here in this segment, these two segments. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
stay with us.
As we pack away the ornaments and bid farewell to the holiday season, it's time to unwrap the gift that keeps on giving, getting protected by a COVID-19 vaccination. This is your chance to make a difference, especially as our Native communities face higher COVID numbers. Those higher numbers underscore the need for collective action. So answer the call and get vaccinated. The latest vaccines are not just authorized, but they're proven effective against the current variants. This is extra protection, even if you've already had previous vaccines, since previous vaccines will eventually wear off. Plus, the new shots are FDA approved for ages 6 months and up. A COVID vaccine is not just a shot. It's a pledge to safeguard the wisdom and stories handed down by our elders. So join the movement, get vaccinated, and make 2024 the healthiest year ever, securing a brighter future for our Native community. For more information, including details about clinics offering free vaccines, visit vaccines.gov.
Become a teacher and ignite change. Join the St. Paul Urban Residency Program to become a teacher in just 15 months. You can earn your master's degree and teaching license from the University of St. Thomas while earning a $30,000 stipend, single health care, and dental benefits. As an added bonus, next year's cohort, all residents will receive $20,000 towards their tuition. Apply now. Applications due February 28th, 2024. Visit spps.org/SUTR.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
The vehicle for the Minnesota family is the Toyota Sienna, and the best place to get one is Rudy Luther Toyota in Golden Valley. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. I have 3 kids, and the Sienna hauls all your kids' sports and school gear easily. I can attest they're the safest vehicles, trust me, protecting your most valuable cargo. They're the perfect vehicle for the spring break or summer road trip, and the hybrid model is insanely fuel efficient. And Rudy Luther Toyota has a great selection of new and certified pre-owned Siennas. Get one today. It's my highest recommendation. Rudy Luther Toyota, west of Minneapolis on 394.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain tonight with a low around 46. Thursday, more rain with a high near 55. And Friday, cloudy with a high around 36. Mark your calendars. Viral comedic sensation Randy Rainbow is gracing the State Theater stage on February 23rd. Known for viral political spoofs and musical parodies, Randy is a 4-time Emmy and Grammy-nominated entertainer. Secure your seats now at randyrainbow.com for an unforgettable night of laughter and satire.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
Hey, they're great friends there in Minneapolis, and we love going over there. And hey, we are with Arvina Martin, who is executive director of Emerge Wisconsin. But also, I got to give a quick shout out. If you don't know, Arvina was the first Native American city council member in the city of Madison. That just makes the city of Madison that much more cooler. Arvina, welcome. I love that city, and I was just there a couple times the last 2 weeks. Oh, you're muted. Arvina, can you hear me? You're muted somehow.
I muted myself accidentally. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. But thank you again for having me. Sorry, I'm adjusting. For those of you who are watching, I'm adjusting myself, so sorry about that for a second.
Well, yeah. I don't know if you have been following that or keeping up on that all, but it's just totally bizarre. And that Governor Noem is saying all these things. And then finally, the tribe just said, thanks, but no thanks. You are now no longer invited to ever come into our reservation area.
Yikes. I mean, I can't imagine being an elected official and then having somebody say you can't come here, you've screwed me over, or won't play fair, or whatever, however you want to put it, and then say you can't come. I kind of think that's a show of failure of her leadership if she's got people that can't even engage with her anymore because she's not being fair and playing and working with people and consulting as she's supposed to.
Well, I think what put him over the edge too is Noem suggested last week that the state send razor wire and security personnel to Texas. Also, she said drug cartels are responsible for murders on the reservations and that they're affiliated with a gang called Ghost Dancers. So these kind of things put our Lakota Dakota brothers and sisters over the edge with her.
Oh, absolutely. I had not heard about that, but it's pretty lousy to kind of scapegoat the communities that you're serving and try to make things out like it's something that's been brought on by themselves or anything like that. That's not leadership. That's not.
No, and good on them for Pine Ridge saying thanks, but no thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, Arvina, it's always a good time now to talk about what you want to talk about and give us some updates on what you're doing and what's happening in the state of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, we're still trucking along at the moment. We're still waiting for a decision to come out, maybe next month, or understand what the maps are going to look like for our fall elections. We want to know sooner rather than later because it takes time to plan and a run for office, especially one at the state level. And the candidates have to start collecting signatures in May, so that really isn't that far off. And it's very nerve-wracking to not know what's happening when people are anxious to make decisions, and you want to see how things are kind of shaking out. November is not that far from now. May is even less far from now. So we're all kind of on pins and needles over here waiting to hear about that. Yeah.
I know our sister Trisha Zunker was gerrymandered the heck out of her. I hope that these kind of movements in districting can help somebody like Trisha or anybody out there for that matter, because the person she was going against who eventually won, and Trisha did a great job, by the way, of that uphill battle. We have to hope that it's things like that are better in our neighboring state.
Yeah, and so for the record, this lawsuit wouldn't change the congressional lines, but would change state legislative lines. So, unfortunately, the eighth or the congressional district that Trisha ran for so valiantly and ably, is going to remain. But there are lots of other people like Trisha who are getting, gerrymandered out of seats across the state, and even ones that still live in that district. Their districts are so gerrymandered that it's not a fair segment of the population, and that everything skews so far to the right now. When if you have balanced legislative districts, everything gets more moderate, and because you have to be able to work with both sides. And I really think that gerrymandering and ending gerrymandering is the first step in trying to change this polarization that we are facing so much here in the US and in Wisconsin. And hopefully with new lines we'll have more representatives who are actually representing the interests of their districts, and not the artificial interests of a district that was created in order to be as conservative as possible.
As you probably know, I drive to Black River once a week and sometimes more, and go down 94 into Wisconsin. And something that just kind of came up around mile marker 10 or a little before that is a big sign that says "Vote Democrat" because they're for the people. And it's
Absolutely.
cool to see, because I remember in 2016, I would go to small towns or any little towns in Minnesota and see just Trump paraphernalia everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and I live in my nice Madison bubble where, basically everybody is liberal. There are conservatives here, but, you don't see a lot of Trump signs. And I actually, last weekend had driven up to Stockbridge to visit some of my Stockbridge relatives, and going through some of the smaller towns and seeing giant Trump signs was a bit jarring to me. And is a reminder that not everything is my Madison liberal haven, that there are other folks out there.
I always like to tell people, and I don't know, of course I stole this, but thank goodness land doesn't vote, because the farther away you get from the big buildings, the less dense it is. And thank goodness land doesn't vote, because it might look like the whole area is red, but there's maybe 100 or 1,000 people there, as opposed to the strength we have in the inner cities.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And conservatives like to throw those maps around and say, look at the majority of the country supports, this. And if you combine what the city of Los Angeles and the city of New York, like how many more voters or how many more people live in those two cities than in, the Dakotas or Montana, or, and not to denigrate the folks that live there or people who live in rural areas. I mean, that your voice is just as important. But when assuming, that the geography is that it's populated the same, that, that means that more people support conservative candidates, it's not good data. It's a misinterpretation of the data. And it can be very, very frustrating. Also, the conservatives don't like it when you point out how much fewer, struggling with language a little bit, but how much fewer people live in those areas. Like once you actually kind of call it out, it's pretty glaring.
Yeah, well, we have a problem here in Minnesota that some of our national reps that are Republican, that tried to vote things down, and then they come back to their constituents as heroes because the bill passed and it helps their area, but they were voting against it. And there's people don't pay as much attention as probably you, me, and Haley, and people on these stations that we're on or listen to us, and they don't know the difference that we have politicians up north that are taking credit for bills that they voted against.
Absolutely. And I actually like that President Biden has started calling that out, and calling out, saying, oh yeah, and doing it in those Congress people's districts. So going to where they are and say, yeah, we got all this money for you. Too bad your guy didn't support it,
Right.
And unfortunately, I think we need to keep calling that out, because otherwise people aren't acting on accurate information and aren't able to make their informed choice the way that they should be able to.
Right, right. And I when you were talking, I was just thinking too, when the big strike was on, and no president ever in the history came to support the union worker. As me being a former high school teacher, I'm a union person through and through. And then Trump had fake people there in a non-union place, and he paid. It just came out. He paid like $20,000 for this whole escapade there in Michigan.
I mean, that is just so indicative of the two candidates who are running for president, or, the presumptive nominees from each party. Joe Biden going out there and getting on the line with striking auto workers, and Trump going and doing stuff with scabs and talking about the things that really only benefit people at the very top of those corporate structures. I mean, he's not there for the workers. And I too, I'm in a union for the very first time. I've always been a big union believer, but now I'm a member as well. So people standing with workers and the people that actually make our economy run are the kinds of folks that we need in office.
Exactly. And I know we're going to take off here, and we really appreciate you coming on as always. I just want to say too that when the middle class started disappearing in the 80s is when unions started disappearing. And so they go hand in hand. And people need to get paid what they deserve. We don't need billionaires running around, and change the tax brackets that was changed during Reagan era, and go back to those old taxes ways, and things will be a lot better. Arvina,
absolutely.
Peeny Gigi for being on as always.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be right back after the short break. Stay with us. Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Are you thinking about college? Consider checking out Minnesota private colleges. These 18 nonprofit institutions keep the focus on students with small classes and professors who will get to know you. You'll find students from all backgrounds, and no two colleges are alike. And when it comes to cost, they're more affordable than you think. Find the college that's right for you at mnprivatecolleges.org/possible. mnprivatecolleges.org/possible.
Hey, if you're like a lot of people, you're probably relieved that the holiday celebrations are over. But there's one thing that might stay with us from the holidays besides all those gifts, and that's COVID-19. Numbers from COVID are going up as we spend more time inside. And Native Americans are seeing even bigger case spikes. With all the indoor celebrations over the holidays, you may have unknowingly been exposed to someone with COVID-19. That's why it's important to stay vigilant. If you notice any symptoms like a fever, a tickle in the throat, or heavy fatigue, take an at-home test. They're still free and can be ordered at sayyeshometest.org. If you do test positive, you're eligible for free treatment, and no health insurance is required. Visit health.state.mn.us to connect with providers and receive your treatment. Let's make 2024 the healthiest year ever, securing a brighter future for our Native community.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1 U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, I want to, look at that bee for bison there on your hat there. That thing's really glowing. Hey, we have Bob Blake from Red Lake, owner of the Solar Bear and native CEO of Native Sun, and just all around cool guy. And we are here with the Solar Bear with the Solar News.
Hey, how's it going, Robert? We have got some really good news in the Solar News with the Solar Bear. I want to start out with electric vehicle infrastructure, Robert, could generate 160,000 jobs, Robert, over, just on the build out. This is just on the build out, could generate 160,000 jobs across the country, just on the electric vehicle build out. So this is really huge news. And I also want to say that I spoke with the tribal their convenience store, association. There's like a tribal convenience store association, I believe what they're called. And they are really interested in at least partnering, and getting more of these EVs out into tribal country. So I think that's a really good, exciting news around electric vehicles. And I'll be speaking on a panel in Pechanga, California at the Department of Indian Energy on EVs. And we've been having our planning sessions on that. And just hearing all the cool things from these other tribal entities and nations around the country right now on this joint planning and little program we're going to put on out there at the conference is really exciting. So I wanted to share that with everybody because I thought that was a really cool statistic I saw And I was like, are you kidding me? How many jobs? And then they showed me the statistics and the folks behind it. And I was like, I can get behind that, Robert. I can really get behind that.
I know in Ho Chunk we call them C-stores, and I always go on C-stores. What's that? And it's convenience stores. So that's I guess the slang for us here in Wisconsin is they're called C-stores, and yeah, a lot of them are by casinos and areas that people load up on gas and swag and might as well get their car charged.
And I also want to mention here in the state of Minnesota, today's the first day, Robert. Today's the first day that you can apply for an electric vehicle rebate with the state of Minnesota. Wow. So last legislative session, our wonderful politicians here in the state of Minnesota, part of the climate plan was to be able to, give some incentives for individuals to purchase new or used, $2,500, I believe it's for new, and $600 for a used vehicle. Whether and Robert, I want to make this clear to everybody, whether it be a hybrid or all electric, they could still qualify for this. And it's out there now. It's up. It just happened today. So hey, but everyone out there, if you purchased a vehicle, now I purchased a Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV this last year, so I'll be able to qualify for this $2,500. Not to mention the $7,500 that I already got in federal on my vehicle. So it's like $10,000 I got off my new vehicle.
Right on. And I remember when we went to Iowa, we always refer back to our glory days with when you were working for AM 950 or Native Roots Radio for a day. That you had a hybrid when we went down there.
We did. We were getting 70 miles an hour to the gallon going down to Iowa, and I was the grip. I was the key grip. I was.
That's boy too.
Another really cool. Well, this is for Wisconsin. This is for Wisconsin. Go ahead.
Let me just jump in real quick. You were not only the key grip, but I want to say we were giving out T-shirts, and Bob gave out a T-shirt to Amy Klobuchar, who is running for president, and gave her the Resist shirt, and we got a picture with her. And I'm going, the irony of this is we're kind of resisting Amy, and she's got my shirt. But go ahead, Bob.
But hey, it was interesting because there were other politicians that were coming by, and I was just kind of like, can we get one of those Resist shirts? And I was like, yes. And, oh, yes. So I was like, this, I didn't want to turn down anybody. But hey, in Wisconsin, Rivian, I love those trucks, by the way. I don't know who are all Rivian owners out there, but man, y'all got some bad trucks. I love those trucks. Anyways, Rivian is opening up their first service center in Wisconsin, in southeastern Wisconsin. So I think that is some really cool news that Rivian is expanding their reach, and those trucks to me are just some of the coolest vehicles that are out there on the road right now.
Can you explain to our audience?
Yeah, Rivian is an electric vehicle truck maker, and that's kind of what they're specifically focusing in on, is that kind of mid-size SUV, so to speak, and it's really a cool looking vehicle, but it's all electric. But they put, I think the engineering they put into that is just really cool, and so I really like Rivian, and they're, of course, they're made here in the United States, and so they have a really good product, and yeah.
Elon Musk's trucks, didn't they kind of look like a bad drawing that I would have drew like when I was 5 years old or something? Have you seen those trucks that they've designed?
Yeah, I actually passed one up about a week ago when I was driving up to St. Cloud, and It was all silver. Robert, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna fly. I don't know. It really looks it almost looks like a space age, like it should be on Mars or it should be on the moon. but Rivian is a little less in your face. It looks more, kind of acceptable, so to speak. But hey, you know what? To each his own. I mean, if you're driving an electric vehicle, I think no matter how it looks, I think is good. It's good for the planet and it's good for the environment. And so I'm kind of like okay with it.
Well, I agree with one of our listeners, Etta. She said scammer, and I feel like Elon Musk is a scammer. But yeah, you're right. Electric, that's moved to electric, and get off Twitter and X.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, and I mean, I think that one cool thing about a lot of these electric vehicles is that what's going to happen, everyone, is they're going to get cheaper, they're going to get less expensive, they're going to be everywhere. And the other part about this is that it's going to help us wean ourselves off of fossil fuels, which is the main contributor to greenhouse gases, which is causing climate change. And we all see what's happening in Southern California and Los Angeles and around the world right now. So this is going to take all of us. And that was the solar news with the solar bear.
Hell, I was just saying, here in Minnesota, it's like April weather here and should be below zero and it's 55 degrees. So everywhere. Hey, big peeny gigi to the solar bear with the solar news. Thank you much, Bob. Bob Blake from Red Lake. I always like to say that. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
And free Leonard Peltier.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, can AI help us understand